Welcome to Passion and Profit. If you're a small business owner or solo entrepreneur, this episode is for you. It would not only help you achieve your business goals, but it will also help you enjoy the process. Let's get started.
Description matters because Etsy is not only looking at the title and tags, they're looking across your entire product listing for words that match what that customer is searching. And think of it like a ladder. If someone searches organic face serum and you have organic face serum in your title, cool, that's the first step in the ladder. If it's also in your tag, that's the second step of the ladder. If it's also in your description, that's the third step of the ladder. So you're giving more and more validation to Etsy that yes, this is a product to show for this person who is searching that.
Passion and Profit with your host, Delmith Morales, the podcast for makers and manufacturers. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Delmith. This podcast is created by Inventora, the all-in-one inventory system for makers and manufacturers. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use SEO for Etsy success with Monica Little. Monica created an Etsy algorithm secrets and a product biz academy to guide other handmade small business owners along the path of turning their hobby and passion into a successful and profitable business. So, welcome, Monica. I'm so excited to talk with you today. I know that your experience is going to be super valuable for us. And also, this topic is something that I'm so curious about. So, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Super excited to be here. So, yes, I am currently a coach for handmade product based business owners. But how my story really started is about 3 or 4 years ago when I started my own small business while I was working at a corporate full time job. I really just stumbled across this passion of creating natural organic skincare products. And once I started to do this and share with family and friends and share on Instagram, people started to ask me, well, where can I buy this? Are you selling it? So I really started to find different ways to get it in front of more people. And at that point in time, as I started this small business, realized that it had some potential. I was really focusing on selling at different markets across the Chicagoland area. But at some point, being a small business owner, participating in a ton of markets, you start to realize that this is a lot of work. It's every single weekend and it's a lot of prep all week long. There's got to be a better way to get in front of more people. So when I started to really focus my time and attention on Etsy, how to get seen on Etsy, how to get found on Etsy, how to make my business easier on me, where I can learn the strategy of Etsy and let Etsy bring the customers to me instead of me physically going to the customers every single weekend at markets, that's really where my business changed and started to take off. So I ended up growing my business to multiple six figures, specifically on Etsy, 5,000 orders on Etsy, and about $100,000 in sales on Etsy. And now I really help other small business owners do the same, get more exposure on Etsy, stand out on Etsy, sell more products on Etsy to help them get away from the market hamster wheel to make their business actually work for them so they can spend more time doing what they love while also growing their business at the same time.
I love that. We had a webinar before with Monica and we discussed I think it was such a good insight about Etsy, like it's the reviews page. Like the value of having reviews on your Etsy shop and how can you create that for your business, right? And I think the other part that is key on Etsy is SEO, right? So tell us a little bit about what's Etsy SEO.
Yeah, it's such a great question. So, SEO, just in general, is search engine optimization. So, what that means is how you get found based on the words that you use. So, any platform like Google, like Etsy, when someone puts something in the search bar, that platform is going to look at all the different options that actually match, and it's going to show the website or the product that matches to those words. So, on Etsy, for example, if someone types in organic anti-aging face serum, that is what they're searching for. Now, how you can make SEO work for you is to make sure that the title of your product and the tags of your product have those keywords that people are searching. So then that person who's searching for that, if that's what you sell, and your title of your Etsy listing and the tags in your Etsy listing also have those words, well, now the algorithm on Etsy can say, okay, this is a match because this person is searching for organic anti-aging facial serum. And this listing, this product on Etsy says right here, it's an organic anti-aging facial serum. So let's show this to this person because that is what they're searching for and that's what they want. So SEO on Etsy is so important because this is how you get found. If you don't have the right SEO, if you are using words that customers aren't searching, if there's so many mistakes people make, but this is the key because you have to get on that first page of the search results in order for people to even find you. If you're on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, people aren't going to make it that far. So SEO is one of the most important parts of Etsy, but also one of the things that people really struggle with the most too.
Absolutely. I have an Etsy shop for my small business. And I think that is the one thing that I struggle the most because you have a lot of competition there. You have tons of products that can be very similar to yours. So having that in mind to be able to achieve those right keywords, it's hard, but I know that with the right tips and the right steps to take are is going to be possible. So, what are the things that we should consider on when we are crafting the titles and tags for our products?
Yes, absolutely. So, a couple of things that I want to highlight, and maybe we'll start with some of the mistakes that people make because this will definitely answer your question. But the first mistake that most people make is they use the name of their product as their title and their tag. So, for me, if I sell something called Heal and Glow Facial Serum, I would call that the title of my product, Heal and Glow Facial Serum. That's what it is. Those are my tags. But we have to realize that the people who are searching on Etsy don't know about your business, don't know about your brand, don't know about the name of your product. And instead of using the actual name of your product, I want you to use super descriptive words that describe your product. So, a great way to do that is imagine you're on the phone with a friend and you're talking about your product. They can't see it, feel it, use it, touch it. How would you describe your product for them? So this is where I would come up with those words of facial serum, organic, anti-aging for acne, for dry skin, for winter, made with moringa oil, with essential oils, all organic, all natural. Those are the key words that I would describe to my friend on the phone. And those are the descriptive words that I want you to use on your listing. Now, when we start to talk about the descriptive words to use, there's another really important thing to consider, which is a mistake that people make, is most people are really generic with the keywords that they use. But I want you to get super specific because when you're really generic with your SEO, with your titles and tags on Etsy, for example, if you sell candles and you want your title to be soy wax candle, because you want your product to show up for anyone who sells a soy wax candle, right? Well, the problem here is there's thousands and thousands and thousands of soy wax candles on Etsy, and you're going to end up on page 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, never getting found and never getting the sale. So the key here really is to get super, super specific. So for this soy wax candle, what type of vessel is it? Is it a concrete blue cement jar? What type of fragrance is it? Is it mango? What type of wick is it? Is it a wooden wick? Does it have lavender dried flowers on top? These descriptive words are what you should use, and getting super specific is so important because the person shopping on Etsy is looking for something unique, looking for something in particular, looking for something for a specific purpose. If they wanted any random candle in this example, they didn't care the color, the style, the scent, the wax, anything, they would go on Amazon and they would buy a candle and get it shipped in 2 days, find something cheap and put it in their home. If they're on Etsy looking for a candle, they're looking for a candle to fit a specific vibe in a specific room, or a friend, a certain type of present to give to someone from a connection or a memory or something that they have, or a specific style. They're looking for something so unique that they can't find on Amazon, at Target, at Walmart, or anywhere else. So really understanding the descriptive words and also specific, getting super specific. Because if you try to be for everyone, you end up being for no one. So this is the key of be for the people who are searching for a product like yours And I'd rather have you show up for those people than trying to show up for every single person who's searching for a candle in this example. So I think those are the couple mistakes and the couple tips that I would give in terms of descriptive words and specificity instead of using the name of your product and trying to be really generic with your titles and tags.
I love that. And I think that's that's hard because probably you're not having just one product, right? So you have to create that for 10, 15, 20 products. And it's so hard to come up with all the words and the specific things. But I think, like you said, like if you try to think, like if you're explaining it to someone on the phone, that's easier for you to start thinking the right words. And also, when I think about someone selling candles, they have to be very descriptive in their online page because that's the only way they can explain the scent and the things that are in the candle. So if you take those things into consideration, and probably everyone has it already, just bring those specific words that make your products unique, because we know that if we are on Etsy, we have something unique, we have something that it's or handmade, or it's very unique, that people know that it has something that it's different from others, right? So
Yeah.
I think another question with this is that, does the description of the products matter as well in this part of
Yeah.
SEO?
Yeah, great question. And one thing I want to add to, and then I'll answer this, how you said, sometimes it can be hard as you think about, well, how would you describe this product if you're on the phone with a friend. I do want to give a couple other tips just to actually use the Etsy platform to help with some of those words. So one thing that you can do is go on Etsy and search for a product like yours. And then on that first page, see what other names people are using for their products, because the people who are on the first page, you can learn from them. Success leaves clues. So let's see what these people who are on the first page are actually doing and start to just be like a detective and see what are some of the titles, the descriptive words that they use, and do they also represent your product. So that's a great tool that you can also use if you start to get stuck. I'm like, how would I actually describe this? I believe there's 160 characters on the title, so that's a lot of words, and if you get stuck, you can use this. And also, when you're doing this on that front page, when you're searching for a particular item similar to what you make, look for the bestseller badge, because this will be on the photo. So then you can see not only what items are on the first page, but what ones are also a bestseller. So that means they're selling really well. And be a detective on that listing too. What are the keywords that they use in their title? And then the third tip that I'll give is there's a great tool called Everbee, which is relatively new, which is fantastic to use for keyword title tag research as well. So that's something that I just want to drop for everyone listening to. So a couple more like tactical ways there. But to answer your question about the description, does that also matter for SEO? Yes. Description matters because Etsy is not only looking at the title and tags, they're looking across your entire product listing for words that match what that customer is searching. And think of it like a ladder. If someone searches organic face serum and you have organic face serum in your title, cool, that's the first step in the ladder. If it's also in your tag, that's the second step of the ladder. If it's also in your description, that's the third step of the ladder. So you're giving more and more validation to Etsy that yes, this is a product to show for this person who is searching that. So your description is so critical, not only to have those keywords in it. So your main paragraph can be, how are you describing your product? And naturally, that should have those keywords in there. Super important for SEO, but your description is also important just to answer any questions that customer may have. Because once they click on your listing, now you still have to give them the details for them to add it to cart. So description is one of those things that has to have all the details that people need just so they feel confident to purchase the product that you have.
Awesome. Yes, that's key to have them make the final purchase, like the final decision and saying, okay, yes, this is what I was looking for. So now that we, for example, we set up our Etsy shop and we have our products listing ready and all of that, how long does it take for SEO to work on our Etsy shop?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I find this totally varies. And it varies depending on the product you sell, the titles and tags that you use. So this really can take some time. When someone makes a major change to their titles and tags, what I like to advise is keep those titles and tags for 30 days. Let Etsy start to index you. So, what this means is Etsy is starting to get to know your listing, starting to know when to show it to specific customers that are searching specific words, when it's a match, when people are buying, when people are clicking and they're not buying. Etsy is learning, and that takes time for their algorithm, their platform to index you and really learn when should they show this depending on what someone is searching. So I like to tell people give it 30 days, look at some of your data to see are the views increasing, are your orders increasing, and then we can start to use the data to pinpoint where is there room for growth. After 30 days, if your views aren't necessarily increasing, then we can say maybe let's revisit the titles and tags. If your views are increasing and your clicks are increasing, but your orders aren't increasing, so if your conversion rate isn't increasing, then we can say, let's look at something inside your description, your photos or your description to make sure that the information is needed for people to add to cart. So SEO, I like to say give it 30 days. I know there's other Etsy coaches that say it's a lot quicker, but what I find is I don't like making too many changes because then we're throwing spaghetti at the wall. We're guessing over and over and over, and then we don't know what actually works. So I like to do changes, let them sit for 30 days, then let's reassess and see if we got to make any more changes from there.
Absolutely. I think the same way. I know that, for example, on Google Analytics, you have to give the changes that you create at least 30 days or something like that in order for people start seeing, because people are not waiting for you to make changes to your Etsy shop, right? So you need to give them time to find you. You need to give them time to say, oh, okay, I remember this shop and I want to purchase that. And that's how, I don't know, that's how it's like the best way to know that your business is going to work. Like if you give your changes time and see if they work. And then after that, how often should we need to be renewing our listing? I know
Mhm.
that for example, for me, I have been having my listing for a long time, and I think that has been affecting. um I know, probably like you mentioned, maybe I need to change my photos or I need to change my description or something like that. But how often should we start worrying about this and making changes?
Yeah, and this is a question that I would definitely say look at your data to understand. Because one thing that I don't want people to do is just make changes just to make changes. What we want to do is make changes if there's a reason to make a change. So if we see that our visits are going down over time, what's more important is to see how your visits are changing year over year. So this is actually a metric that Etsy gives you in the dashboard because visits and views can change month after month. So, for example, looking at visits and views from December to January, you're going to see a decrease because January, naturally, there's less people shopping on Etsy, and December and November, people are shopping for the holidays. So, if we look at December and say, oh my God, I had 300 views each day. And in January, I have 30 views per day. People can sometimes start to panic and be like, oh my gosh, something's wrong, something's wrong. But in reality, it's just seasonality, which is a true thing and affects every single business. So instead, what I recommend people to do is look at your year over year stats, which Etsy does provide right on your dashboard page. So last year in December, if you had 300 views per day, and this year in December, for example, you have 330 views per day, okay, great. That shows that your views are increasing. And we're comparing December to December. We're comparing apples to apples instead of apples to oranges, which is like the December to January comparison. So really look at the data. I think what a lot of small business owners do is they make a lot of changes because they think something's wrong or they feel something's wrong. But if we actually look at the data, we're like, this is actually okay. And we don't need to spend time making these changes just yet. But what I will say is we do, like I mentioned, the conversion rate is really important. So that's orders divided by visits. How many people who are actually buying that clicked on your listing? And an average conversion rate is 2 to 3%. So what that means is out of 100 people that see your listing, 2 to 3 of them are actually going to buy. And that's totally normal. But if we start to see that the conversion rate is 1% or 1.5% or 0.5%, then we can say, okay, what is more impactful right now? Maybe instead of changing the titles and tags, is to change what's inside the listing, because then those 100 people or however many will get more of them to buy. And we're actually making our listing stronger, our photos stronger, our description stronger, which leads to more sales. So to answer your question, it's kind of a tricky one of like, how often should we renew and update? I'd say look at the data, but obviously I want you to feel confident in your listing and be like, this is a great listing. My photos, my description, my titles and tags, I feel so confident in them that if someone came to my listing, they would know what I sell, what the benefit is, why they should buy it. If you don't have that confidence level just yet, I would say let's work on that. Let's make it to that spot, because that's going to be what customers need to confidently purchase in you too. So I don't know if there's like an exact answer, but hopefully that gave some insight and
No,
some.
absolutely. I think I love how Etsy gives you a lot of data that you can rely on to see how your business is doing. And then, like you mentioned, I cannot compare my sales on December with my sales in January, right? It's a completely different season for everyone that it makes sense to compare January to January, December
Yeah.
to December, right? So it makes a lot of sense. So I know that we have Etsy, and it's a good place to start. But what other ways can we? How can we rely on social media or the best
Mhm.
channels to promote our Etsy stores so people can go there and buy from us?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of Instagram, social media, and how I really like to view it is social media isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So I think as small business owners, getting comfortable and getting used to social media and having the social media presence is so important. So with my skincare small business, on my skincare small business account, I really focused on connecting with people, sharing the importance of using organic skincare, talking about my products, educating about my products. And at that point in time, too, I had my Etsy store, so I funneled people to Etsy to purchase. And what was really nice is that gave a little bit of gas into the Etsy machine. So when you first start on Etsy, to get exposure on Etsy, there's 3 things that can happen. Number one is you wait for Etsy to organically start to show you to more people, which is totally fine. Depends on your titles and tags very much and can take a little bit longer. The second option is to funnel some of your traffic from social media, from maybe your email list if you have one, to Etsy to give Etsy a little bit of gas in the machine. Because when Etsy sees that people are going to your listing and purchasing right away, they're like, okay, let's show this to more people because people love it and people are buying it. So that allows you to give some gas to the Etsy machine, and then Etsy will show you to more people organically because they have this trust in you. The third option is Etsy ads. So this is where you're paying for placements to be shown to more people. Now, this obviously the trade off is you're paying money for that exposure. And I think sometimes people do this right away. But the one thing to mention is if your listings aren't strong in terms of your photos, your description, even your titles and tags, and you pay for ads, it can be money that's wasted because someone may click on it. But if they're not getting the information they need, well, they're not going to purchase. And now you're spending money on that. So when we talk about growing on Etsy, there's 100%, there's organic, relying on Etsy, which is the cheapest but takes the longest. There's Instagram to funnel your traffic to then get exposed to more people, which takes some of your effort. Or there's ads, which is money, but you have to make sure your listings are in a good spot. So any one of those 3 are viable. I like option number 2 the best, to use social media to get people to Etsy for a limited time, just to put gas in that Etsy machine. So then Etsy will show you to more people all the time because they know and have trust in you. And similarly, like I mentioned right at the start of answering this question, how social media isn't going anywhere. As small business owners, I think social media is how we practice public speaking. Social media is how we practice selling. Social media is how we practice marketing, how we talk about our products, how we pitch our products, how we connect with customers. So that is such an important skill set that is is great that we can literally learn it from our phones on a daily basis and practice it. So I'm a big fan of using social media to grow those skill sets, to give Etsy a little bit of gas in the machine. And it's just something great to keep creating community around your products and your business too.
I love that. I also love Instagram. It's the perfect way for you to start just showing yourself. And I know it's not something that we all love. It's a challenge for sure. But I know that people that want that buys on Etsy are people that are not just looking for the product like they can find everywhere. They're looking for someone behind
Mhm.
the story behind it, and that they're trying to purchase something with value, with meaning. And if you connect that with your Instagram and social media engagement, it's going to be just the perfect thing for your business. I absolutely agree with you. So I think my last question is I have heard about the backlinks for Etsy. Is it worth it, and why?
Ooh, good question. So can you, I don't know, tell me more about backlinks. So what are those? Just to make sure I am
So
think.
building backlinks for an Etsy, so you can put like your link to your shop on a blog post, or creating like you mentioned, like in your email list, in an email, create that backlink to it. And also, for example, if you are in a community and they have an article, and they can add your a backlink of your shop there, is it
Yeah.
worth it to have those types of connections?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so you mean from other sources directing to Etsy, like having your
Right.
Etsy link. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I can answer that question in two ways. Because the other way is also having links on your Etsy shop to your email list. So you can also do something the inverse. So in terms of having other sources go to your Etsy shop, 100%. I mean, the more traffic you can get to your Etsy shop, the better. So how I did this is through Pinterest, having blog posts or content on Pinterest that then could link to an Etsy shop, and having different placements there because people are searching all sorts of things across all different avenues. So, gift guides, if you can be in gift guides, especially around the holiday season, that link to your Etsy shop, perfect. Pinterest that link to your Etsy shop, perfect. Email that you were sending out that can link to your Etsy shop, perfect. Any placement like that is going to be fantastic to drive more traffic to your Etsy shop. Now, Etsy recently launched something where you have a direct link that when you share it, there's less fees being taken from those purchases. So this is beautiful because they're basically saying if you direct your own traffic to Etsy, we're going to give you a little bit of a break and not take as many fees as we normally would. And they just take the fees fully for traffic that they bring. So another incentive. So I love to do that just to get as much exposure to your Etsy shop and also to save some money on the fees. Now, on the flip side, what I'll mention too is you can strategically use Etsy to get people onto your email list, to get people onto your Instagram, because we also want to create this more cohesive community instead of just Etsy, because we want people to follow you. We want people to purchase maybe from your direct website later on if you have one. So, a couple things you can do there too is make sure if you're selling a physical product or a digital product that your website, your Instagram, is either on your physical product, on a marketing card in the package, or it's on your digital download instructions so people can now find you in other places. So I always recommend people to think of the bigger picture of where do you want people to be so they can continue to buy from you over and over and get to know you more. So that's something that I would recommend too.
Absolutely. I love that. And like you mentioned, I think being part of Pinterest, it's something, I think it's a tool that nobody use a lot. And I think people go there to search for ideas. And that's a good way to start putting your link to your Etsy shop. Like, people are going to find your product, a picture of your product or a guide that you created, and they're going to click, and they love it, and they're going to purchase from you. So I think all we have a lot of resources. Probably it's overwhelming because you don't know where to start, but I think we have to take that in advantage and start using it for our business and to benefit ourselves and create more a better and profitable business, right? So I loved the conversation. It was super, super educational. So I think my last thing is for you to tell people how can they find you on social media and how can they contact you.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram primarily at Monica Little Coaching. And then I do have a free Etsy training just to continue the conversation if anyone's interested. It's at monicalittlecoaching.com/Etsy. So yeah, if anyone has any questions from this, happy to chat. And I love what you said too of just like this can feel overwhelming, but what I recommend for people is just take one project at a time. So if it's first, let's master Etsy, cool. Spend a month on really mastering Etsy, get it in a good spot. If the next month is Instagram, great. If the next month is Pinterest, beautiful. But just really taking it one step at a time because it's going to take time to build a business. But in a year from now, you'll look back and be like, wow, look at all that I've done. So I just want to share that last piece of advice too. But thank you so much, Dilmith, for having me.
No, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoy our conversation. And like you said, baby steps are the key. And start from the bottom or start with just a little task is going to make the difference instead of trying to make everything at once. So I think that's key for everyone. So everyone, there you have my conversation with Monica. Go check out Monica and her business in the link of the show notes. I hope you find this episode helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a follow, and if you like the episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thank you for being here, and until next time. And if you're interested to learn more about Inventora and how can you sync Inventora with your e-commerce shop, visit inventora.com.